Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa. We are talking Champions League football. It's been over 40 years since Villa have been at the pinnacle of European football, but we are back. We have got nice new Champions League backgrounds behind us, Champions League branding. It's huge. I'm proud. I'm excited. I'm buzzing. I can't wait to get stuck in to Champions League football. This is our Young Boys v Aston Villa preview. We have got Earl, who's going to be going through all of his young boy graphics. Justin's on the show as well. Justin, how are you feeling that you are going to be watching Aston Villa in the Champions League on Tuesday?
Dream come true, isn't it? Champions League, you're having a laugh. Now we're there. I can't wait, mate. Absolutely can't wait. And I think this is a really good game to ease us into the competition as well.
Well, we said that about who did we say that about? Legia.
Yeah, last season, yeah.
We said that about Legia, Justin.
But we learnt a lot from that.
Yes, we did. We did. Well, Earl, how are you feeling as a Villa fan? Champions League?
Yeah, it's not quite. It's sinking in, but not quite sunk in yet. I think. When we hear that anthem, it'll be fully sunk in then, and good start as we say.
I saw Calvin Bassey for Ajax. Has anyone seen that video of him when he's like, he's sort of like.
Crying.
Yeah, I'm like, I think that's going to be me. Like, I'm just going to be like, I'm going to be like this, just watching it on TV, going like, getting proper emotional because I don't know, man. Like, there's something about this competition for me that I've just always watched it and never been in it, never been a part of it, and I think just to see those Villa players, whoever the 11 are, which we'll predict the lineup at the end of the show as well. They're going to be like immensely proud to be wearing that Villa badge in the Champions League. So the first game is Young Boys, who are the Swiss champions. They won the league last season. And the big thing about the Champions League is you are playing the best. You are playing teams that have actively won their league to be in the Champions League, albeit that to go through some qualifiers. They beat Galatasaray to get to this stage. But it's going to be a difficult game. And the pitch isn't grass either, which I'm not sure how we will feel about that. But I know Martinez mentioned it in one of his interviews. But, that's going to be interesting to see how we do on that pitch. But Earl, Young Boys, let's just have a look at some of the graphics then. So how are you sort of feeling about Young Boys? What's the sort of threat that's going to be coming our way?
Yeah, well, first to mention, they've had quite a difficult start to the season, really. They're coming off the back of being Swiss champions, they're now actually sitting bottom of their league. So it's been a bit of a horror shocker for them thus far. But I mean, the Champions League's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? To the domestic football, they've had to come through a tough playoff tie against Galatasaray. Galatasaray is a massive club in Turkey, isn't it? That's no mean feat to come through that kind of playoff. So I mean, yeah, it's a real mixed bag for Young Boys so far.
Yeah, and you can see that from your graphic on the left-hand side. I mean, we're going to go into the actual still graphics of how they play, but it's sort of like you win the league and then you're bottom of the league. Like, it must be a bit mad for them. So talk us through like their key players then, formation. What can we expect from Young Boys?
Yeah, well, they've been conceding a lot of goals. They actually played yesterday in the Swiss Cup. They went away to, I think it's actually a third-tier side in Switzerland. They ended up winning 4-2. They went ahead 2-0 and actually surrendered a two-goal lead. This third-tier side brought it back to 2-2 and then young boys snatched it late with a couple of late goals. So yeah, I think that just shows that the shaky form they've been having. Over 2 goals a game they've been conceding so far in the league there. But yeah, they line up. It's like a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2 at times. A lot of wide play down the wings. So what I saw, I've been watching them, is they've got their main 2 strikers are target men, 6'3", big strikers. So we've just come up against Calvert-Lewin, so same kind of vibes there. 20 crosses per game, like I say, and then that obviously comes with the set pieces as well. So they've got those big strikers from set pieces can cause some trouble. Against Galatasaray in one of the games, I forget whether it was the home or away leg, but the striker there, number 35, he hit the post twice from corners. So, and it's not nothing outrageous kind of intricate set pieces. It was just cross the ball, he's on the end of it, and hit the post twice.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. It feels a bit like what I've spoke to you about and what I've seen and some of the images. It's a bit Everton-esque of how we can actually hurt them, and we'll get into it in a second. But especially in behind their midfield. Emi Martinez, Justin, did an interview after the Everton game, and he was speaking about how certain teams can hurt Aston Villa. And he spoke about Olympiacos with those balls. And it's not just a booted ball over the top. It's those balls that sort of have got a bit of curve on it and strikers can run onto. And I imagine young boys may try and do the same type of tactic. Do you think Villa have just got to make sure this defensive line is straight and solid and the pressure on the ball players? Because these games are they can run away from you quite quickly, can't they? European games, especially if momentum goes that way. So, how would you, as a Villa fan, want to see Villa approach this game?
I think last season's, coming off the back of a European campaign into this is going to be absolutely massive for us. Honestly, I do. I mean, we saw Newcastle struggle last season, but they came into it cold and they went straight into the elite competition. The fact we've had experience now of going away in Europe is huge. And yes, young boys are probably, not one of the strongest sides in the competition. So I do think it's a good start for us away from home. But I think the key is just to keep the crowd quiet. I think the crowd in these games are massive. European crowds are really, really loud and they're really vocal and they really give their team real support. And a team like Villa, an English team coming to town, one of the top leagues in the world, we've just got to keep the crowd quiet. So that for me is ball retention. It's just keeping that ball. It's keeping them at arm's length. Being really aggressive when they've got the ball, pressing them, nicking the ball back and then just slowing the game down again and frustrating them, frustrating the crowd, frustrating them. I don't know a lot about young boys, I'll be brutally honest. I've looked at a little bit of the statistics and what Earl's just put down there, and it does seem that there's lots of potential for us to get at them, and create chances. And I think that's how we'll play. Very similar to the Everton game. I think we'll just try and get up to the halfway line, get that defensive line as high up the pitch as we can to allow our midfielders to engage with the front players as much as we possibly can, and then let the front players do their job, getting in behind and taking chances. So I think set piece is really important in this game, defensively and offensively. We haven't kept a clean sheet for a long time now. So, first job is don't let one in, at the back, and then try and pick them off up front. But yeah, I'm confident we can go there, and our first experience of Champions League football, in my opinion, is going to be a positive one.
Yeah, I do think we're going to win this. I do really think we're going to do it. Right, Earl, so let's have a look at how young boys play then. So build up, possession, what can we expect from young boys?
Yeah, I mean, it looks quite similar to what a lot of modern teams are doing nowadays, with the kind of the 3 at the back build up, and then the two at midfield. Does vary between the left back and the right back who kind of sits in that back 3. The left back can underlap more so. I think the right back is more of an overlap kind of traditional fullback kind of player. But yeah, he's probably one of their better creators as well. I think he had eight assists last season. He's already got a few this season as well. So yeah, three at the back, kind of build up shape, and then lots of bodies forward.
Yeah, and hopefully this is the shape that they are going to be in for majority of the game, out of possession, trying to defend against Villa. So out of possession, is it just a standard 4-4-2? Is that how they're setting up?
Yeah, it looks like they try and get back into a 4-4-2, but they've been struggling. They've been struggling this season, and the midfield especially has really struggled to get back into shape, and they've been they are quite easily dragged out of position and pulled around when the ball's moved, moved out wide and then moved back into the centre. They can get pulled apart quite a lot. The wingers don't really track back as much as probably they'd like as well, which really has left the midfield too exposed at times, and they've been caught out quite a lot with just the two men in midfield. And then there's always a lot of space between the lines, between that midfield and between the back four. So yeah, potentially a lot of space for the likes of Rodgers to get the ball in between the lines and run directly at the back four.
I mean, this would be an ideal screenshot for Villa. If Unai's watching this, he's thinking, right, look at that space and the gap in between the defence and the midfield. Young boys are in the yellow, if anyone's wondering what colour young boys are in. And you can see already that there's a 3-on-4, which is not great in itself. Nice little through ball if that goes through to the player that's on their left-hand side, and they're in. So, yeah, I mean, I imagine young boys, they are going to want to have a go at home. Of course they are. They're champions. They're going to see this game as a game that possibly is one of the games that they've got to get something from. So I think with the way that the draw is, this is like a pot 4 game, isn't it? Young boys are in pot 4, Villa are in pot 4. So this is a game where they'd be looking a game that they probably think they should win because it's a pot 4 v pot 4. So for Villa, it's the exact same scenario, but we are away. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see how they approach it. And we've spoke about it numerous times before that in this competition that some teams aren't really going to sit back against us. They're going to want to try and attack and play, which hopefully will come into our hands. The Conference League was very much, we were one of the best teams in it. Everybody knows that. Everybody sits back. Whereas in this competition, that's not going to be the case. So I think it should open us up a little bit. And here, a really good one that highlights that gap in between the defenders and the midfield as well, Earl.
Yeah, honestly, it was a frequent theme watching them. Is just always that space was there, and the opposition team, actually score from this possession here. There's just that getting on that space between the lines there, and then playing through. And then what I was saying about the tracking back as well, it looks like young boys actually have the numbers back here, but by the time it gets played through and to the goal, those two players in white are actually ahead of all the defenders, and it somehow becomes a 4-on-2. I mean, it's a Champions League, so it's hard to think they're not going to be up for it. But I think when I've been watching young boys, there's a bit of lack of desire, maybe. I don't know.
That's like
something's happened, hasn't it, this season for him to drop off form so much? So, I mean,
Yeah.
we've got to feed into that somehow, haven't we? And we've got to feed into, whatever's happened this season for them, start on the front foot. And I think, the key from everything you're saying and the amount of space they leave in those attacking areas is, what lock pickers are we going to pick in our team to sort of open them up? The likes of Buendia, I think, may start, and Barkley probably, doing what he did against Everton, and, feeding into Rogers to McGinn, maybe playing a bit more attack wise, and the fullbacks, maybe even Matson might come in and play that role where he's more attacking. So I think it all feeds into the fact that we can get at them and we can open them up.
Yeah, definitely. You got another graphic here, Earl, of counter-attacking football. They're vulnerable. The midfield duo is easily bypassed with quick passes out wide. Their wide players often fail to track back effectively. So time and time again, it's a similar sort of running theme with them. So attacking corners, what can we expect? Have they got a little secret McPhee, or is it sort of balls into the box and let's just see what happens?
Yeah, like I say before, it seems pretty straightforward to me. They've just been directly straight ball into the big man, which in this example here was the number 35 Ganvula, the striker. Like you say, he hit the post twice in this game against Galatasaray, so it is a threat. But yeah, I mean nothing that creative really. There's no kind of like blocking or anything like that. It's just a ball in.
Yeah. So what can we expect defending? So defending looks like it's zonal and man for man, isn't it?
Yeah. So every corner that they defended, I saw, they set up it exactly the same way. They've got two players zonally, and then the rest of the players are man to man. So they've got two players that I've highlighted there. One's kind of front post, but not really, just inside the 6-yard box, kind of guarding the front post areas. And then they always have their striker, whether that's number 35 or number 9, like I say, big 6'3" target strikers, always in the centre on that 6-yard line, just in the dangerous area, and they just want him to head the ball away if it gets played into that dangerous area. But like that example on the screen, it's really easy to play against actually. And again, it was a lack of desire really. Again, on that corner against Galatasaray, it's just a simple run to the front post, and the Galatasaray player actually wins a header 1 versus 2 against 2 defenders, and then flicks it onto the back post. Defender falls asleep, and Batshuayi scores at the back post. So it's just another example of just a bit of lack of desire, falling asleep, losing them.
I wonder whether we'll see. I wonder whether we'll see with this, the way they play from corners and stuff, and the big centre forward, whether we'll see Diego Carlos come into this game, and add that extra physicality after what we was talking about in the Everton game. Pau Torres' sort of lack of physicality at times against big, strong centre forwards. Whether we might see, we're going to see some rotation, 100%. So whether Carlos is seen, Mings isn't ready, obviously. So whether Carlos is seen as that player that can just come in and maybe man mark the big lad up top, and if it is just a little bit of throw the ball into the box, just literally say to Carlos, right, go and win the ball, go and win the first ball, and then everyone else pick up any pieces around him.
Yeah, so it's a really good point, Justin, because if he's fit and ready to go, why not? Carlos played very well in Europe last season. I thought he was one of the key players in European nights, and it might be one of them where we see Konsa maybe move to right back and Carlos comes in, like you say.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I look at these strikers now, I don't think I'm ever going to downplay a striker ever again, because I looked at that Alcarbi before we played Olympiacos, and I got to say, I thought, who is he? Now, this Ganvula guy, right, he could be prime Haaland. I have no idea, right? So I'm going to treat him as prime Haaland, because Alcarbi, I'm scarred by him, right? So what we know he's
I think
physical.
12 in 49 tells me he's not going to be prime Haaland, to be fair, but I'll get your point.
No, I know, but who'd have said, how many goals did Alcarbi score against us?
yeah.
4?
Yeah.
4 or 5. So, Earl, who is he? Right, I want to know, what's his striking like? What's his movement like?
Yeah, do you know what? He might not actually start the game against us because
Okay.
they've got another striker as well, number 9, Cedric Itten. I think he started the last 2 games for them. But watching them, I think this guy looks a bit more dangerous than the other striker. So yeah, he's a big guy, like I say, 6'3", but he looks athletic as well. There was one example where he scored a goal, out-muscled a couple of defenders, then ran past them, so he got a bit of pace, finished well, and then did a backflip, the celebration in one of the corners. So I was like, a fair play, because he was, big target man, and then he does a backflip. So yeah, he looks. His main strength there is the athleticism. Really, he's a target for crosses and corners. Got a bit of strength about him, and he's got a few goals already this season.
Right, let's see how we do with him then. Right, so Villa fans, predict the lineup. I want your lineups in the comment section down below. We're going to do ours. Right, let's go then. Earl, Justin, let's predict this lineup then.
I've wrote mine down, so I'll be interested to see what everyone else thinks.
Okay, right, I'll put my back 4 based on what we've discussed on this episode, and then we'll go from there then. Right, so I'm going to go Pau left-sided centre-half. I am going to go with, I'm not kicking the Dalkovic. I'm going to go Digne. I'm going to go, where's Mr. Conser gone? Where's Conser? Right, there we go, Conser. That is my back 4. I'll tell you why this is my back 4. If Carlos is fit and ready to play, I think I'm going to go with this, because as much as I'm happy with how I think Bogart's doing, this is going to be a tough Champions League night. We've got to be switched on. We've got to be physical. We've got to be engaged. We've got to be on it. And I think for the structure that we need away from home, with how we'll build up, I kind of like that. If that was, say, the back 3, it'll look a bit like that. Yeah. So, Justin, what's yours? And then Earl, what's yours?
If Carlos is fit, definitely Conser, Carlos, Pau. If Carlos isn't fit, then I think the Djokovic plays right back.
Do you?
I do. And I also don't think Dean starts. I think Maatsen starts 100% left back. After his exploits in the Champions League last season, I think we're going to see some players rotated, obviously only playing 72 hours before. I think that the obvious one is the left back, because Dean and Maatsen are sort of interchangeable, aren't they? With Dean coming on the last 20 minutes, half an hour. But yeah, that's what I'd go with.
See, I think Maatsen starts against Wolves. I think Digne starts this, Maatsen starts against Wolves. That's what I've got in my head. Earl, what are you going with?
I've got no idea, honestly.
You're the expert, mate.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I know Martinez will start, Pau Torres will start, Conser will start. I don't know where, but I'm with Justin on the Digne Maatsen.
So you would put Maatsen in then, yeah? Because I've been voted out.
Someone agreed with me, Earl.
Yeah. I think Luca Dean has been unbelievable this season. Yeah. Unbelievable. But I also think Maatsen, when he's come on in games, has also been very, very good. So I think it might be time to give him a start. And I agree on Carlos as well, if he's ready. Just because
if he's not ready, Earl, who are you playing right back?
if he's not ready, I don't agree with Justin. I'd go with Bogard as well, just because
Get out.
it's more similar to this structure that we've got now.
Yeah.
So having Konsa and Bogard is most similar to Carlos and Konsa. That's the system that I'd want to play. I think everyone on this channel knows how much I love Nedeljkovic, but I just think he's always so high up the pitch, and that's just who he is as a player. And I think away from home, first game of the Champions League, I'd want that a bit more stability, kind of that back three kind of shape. So
yeah.
Onana? Is it Onana? No. Earl?
Only because I think he did take a couple of knocks. I think that was one of the reasons he got taken off on Saturday. And I think at this early in the season, with so many games coming thick and fast, I don't think you risk anybody. And I don't think he's not fit. I think he'll be fit for Tuesday night. I just think with the impact Barkley had off the bench, with his experience in this game, and with 5 substitutions, like I always say, it's not an 11 game anymore anyway. It's a squad game. So if Onana and Dina start on the bench, they both come on probably at some point anyway. It's just who you want to start the game and give you that control. And I think Barkley showed against Everton, he's a master of controlling the game. And next to Tielemans, I think it could be a good, experience in the Champions League as well. Played at this level, international. I think Onana's, a great player. He's had a really good start to the season. But just for this game, for me, I would just stick with Barkley and maybe Onana in the second half.
So this predicted lineup is Luke v Justin. I'm going Onana, and Earl's having the decider on every one. Right, so
we're throwing you under the bus, Earl. Sorry, mate.
I'm Onana. Where's Earl?
Do you know what? I think Justin sold me again. I think he sold me there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Barkley. I think that was a very good point about picked up a knock. I wouldn't risk him. I've seen young boys have done a bit of a high press at times actually this season and probably last season as well. So yeah, I think Barkley might be a bit more suited to that kind of playing out as well. So.
And I think it's also probably important to say that if Carlos isn't fit, that might also impact on who he goes within the double pivot because of what you're pointing out, the 2 big centre forwards, defensively, set piece wise, having the player of the stature of an Onana. If Carlos is there, okay, he's given that role of go and win the ball. Carlos isn't fit, then maybe you would go with Onana to say, right, okay, we need that physicality and that size in the middle of the box defending list, but I think if Carlos is fit, that maybe even more feeds into my idea that Barkley would just retain his place.
Yeah. Up top, are we?
I agree with McGinn, by the way, Luke.
McGinn on the right.
I've got McGinn on the right, yeah, and I've got Watkins. Go on. McGinn on the right, yeah.
Rodgers, and are we going Ramsey? Is that what we're going with?
I haven't got that now.
No, what have you got?
I've got McGinn on the right.
Yeah.
Rodgers on the left.
Okay.
This is where I'm going. I'm going rogue now. I am going Duran starts.
Yeah.
And Buendia.
Oh no. That won't happen, Justin. No. What do you think, Earl? I don't think Buendia starts.
I can see the logic. I think it would be a good game for Buendia if he was fully fit, but I don't feel like he is.
Question, yeah.
I don't think. I don't think he's fully up to speed yet. Is what I would say. So we might see him, but that all that space in between the lines would be absolutely perfect for Buendia. In there.
I was questioning it anyway, but listening to your sort of tactical breakdown of them, I think a fully fit Buendia would have an absolute field day.
Honestly,
in those spaces.
He was actually pretty good when he came on, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what, and he
Against
played, don't forget, a
Everton.
lot in the week before.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be 100% surprised, honestly, I wouldn't, but I get your point. It would be a little bit of a left field, you know. Do you not think Duran starts then?
No.
Really?
Don't
Not
know,
with
you know.
Watkins coming out after the game saying that, on the Sky interview, he said, I've got a couple of knocks. I've still got a couple of knocks. I just think we've got to be very, very careful.
I
And I
could
think
see
Duran
this.
probably deserves a start.
I could see that if they both start. But then does he maybe not not play Rodgers and put Ramsey there and Rodgers?
I think Rodgers starts. I would say Ramsey, Rodgers, McGinn, Duran. That's the way I would go. If you're totally not having my Buendia shout, then that four with Watkins, with Duran starting up top.
Mm. Yeah, the more I think about
And
Duran, the more I
he
think
deserves a start.
Duran,
I think he does
yeah,
deserve a start.
I think it'd have to be like that then. If Duran starts this game, I think that's how I'd feel like he'll play.
Wouldn't
Where are
Duran be
you,
the
Earl?
target man and Watkins off him,
Yeah, it could be,
or
but
not?
they're both pressed from the front, and Watkins is good at
Yeah,
pressing from that side, isn't he?
yeah.
So Watkins does all of his
Come on,
good
Earl.
pressing from there.
Yeah, it's really difficult. So I think from what I've seen of young boys, like I say, I would want a number 10 in there. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't start both strikers from
No,
the start.
No,
And then it's just difficult, isn't it? I think Watkins, for what he's done for the club and what he did last season, he just deserves to play in the Champions League, doesn't he? Duran, unbelievable form. He deserves to play as well. So
one of the things I did think about was how harsh it is on a lot of these players that got us there. That the very, very first Champions League game, I'm saying, Watkins sits on the bench and blah blah blah, because they all want to play this game, don't they? They all want to be in that lineup, standing on that pitch when that anthem starts and that camera goes across. So it is harsh on anybody being left out, but ultimately, we've got to think of the season, and that's the only focus will be in Emery's mind is. We've got to make sure we pick the right team for this game and make sure, we rotate properly and give us the best chance in all competitions.
I tell you what though, I'm going back to right back here, but Villa have started doing a pre-match show, like a build-up for the Premier League game. So I was watching that, and they had Matty Cash on this week, and he was talking about he was targeting to come back for this game. So I think if Cash might be ready as well to come back. So
right.
he might be in for a. I don't know if he'll come in from the start, but he might be one to feature as well.
Yeah, I think he would add a different, especially a different dynamic back in the squad, which is I think is vitally important. So I think we can all agree that. We don't all agree. Well, we don't all agree, and we haven't really picked the team because we still don't know what we think it should be. But I think when we're talking about rotation, I think Champions League is a different beast. We've got a very good squad, so whatever 11's out is a very strong squad. It's not like we have to field the same 11 every single week. We're not that team. We can make 3 changes to a lineup, which it literally doesn't weaken the lineup at all. So I think that's where we're at. So it'll be interesting in the comments to see what you guys are thinking and what lineup you would go with, because obviously we've been absolutely useless and couldn't agree on it. So Champions League football is back for Villa. Really exciting. Hopefully you've enjoyed this content. We have got a Swiss football expert on the next show who will be telling you all about young boys as well. So cheers, Earl. Cheers, Justin. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Up the Champions League.
One thing, actually. Score predictions. We've got to do score predictions. I'm going to go 2-0 Villa. Earl?
I think clean sheets have been hard to come by. So I'm going to go 3-1 Villa.
Love it. Justin?
I'm going to agree with Mr. Robinson on this one.
Oh,
2-0 Villa.
well,
There you go.
better late than
That's
never.
a change.
Yeah. See you later, everyone. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.